Hello, welcome to another Nickjitsu video. Today we're going to be looking at acoustic guitar and drinking some good Scottish beer. Northern Light Blonde Ale, very good. I know what you're thinking, this isn't an acoustic guitar. This looks like an electric guitar and it kind of looks like one, but it's got hollow bits all over, it's chambered, it's got a piezo in there, that's the reliable way to say it, I do believe. And we're going to compare the piezo to the MIDI acoustic pickup. The guitar itself is French. Ma guitare a été construite par un luthier français fantastique. Il s'appelle Godfrey Marajou. Sa société MGS, et je vais mettre un lien dans la description. Il a un beau coup. Beau coup? That means he's got a nice arm. This is a bit of an unfair test, really, because we kind of know which one's going to be better. Playing MIDI guitar is totally different feel-wise to playing piezo guitar, which is totally different again from playing... I normally play a nylon string acoustic. I don't normally play steel string, because look at my nails. My nails aren't built for this kind of guitar. Also, you'll notice that as opposed to an acoustic guitar, when you tap it, nothing happens. So all the kind of... all the tapping that I would normally do with that finger doesn't work on a solid body. But that's not really where we're going with this. So when I think of acoustic music, you do think of, you know, the kind of... My wife ran off with a one-legged plumber. All that kind of stuff. That's not the kind of acoustic music I'm going to look at today. But let's see how the piezo. Let's see how the MIDI acoustic compares to the piezo. And what we'll do is we'll give it a score, see which one wins each round, and then we'll do silly things, because we like doing silly things, don't we? Yeah. Let's just have a look at a standard kind of modern acoustic tune like, what's his name? Wee Ed Sheeran. He normally does some good acoustic stuff. So if you take a tune like Thinking Out Loud, for example. There you go. How did that respond? How did the MIDI respond compared to the piezo? Piezo-Jitsu. Oh, oh, jeez. Thought I'd broken a nail. Now, can you hear when I'm doing that kind of thing? The MIDI is actually hearing notes every time I do that and triggering a note. So if you're going to be playing like that, don't use the MIDI. A lot of these songs have a Scottish connection, and you know, Ed Sheeran, he's played in Scotland. He's is he ginger? There you go. Too much Iron Brew. And thinking out loud is what we do in Scotland all the time. In fact, we say things out loud, and quite a lot of the time it's things that people don't want to hear. A bit like Ed Sheeran. I'm only joking. Without a word of a lie, I saw Ed Sheeran, I think it was at his end of term performance at the Brit Academy. And I'm not a big lover of acoustic guitar and singer-songwriters with acoustic guitar. And when he walked on stage with his wee acoustic guitar, I saw a little looper pedal on the floor and thought, oh God, here we go. And he started playing, and within about 4 bars of his playing, I was absolutely on the edge of my seat. And for the whole of his performance, he was fantastic. He's one of the best live performers I've ever seen. And anybody that can go on stage at Glastonbury on his own and command that audience, got to take your hat off to him. So when I think of acoustic fingerstyle, I would do something like, you know, Michael Hedges, if I could play it, or Preston Reed or somebody like that. But yeah, forget that. So I'm going to go with Tracy Chapman. That's more my kind of level. And, you know, when she was in Scotland, she saw, I think it was the first time she ever saw a fast car. It was somewhere near Ballachulish. So... Oh, and it starts in the wrong place. If you ever see Tracy live, just get up on stage, tap on the shoulder and tell her that she starts this song in the wrong place. She's been doing it for years in the wrong place. It should start on the E minor, I think. That sounds more right, doesn't it? What do you think? Katie Tungsto, she's Scottish. There you go, Scottish connection. There's a nice wee song that she's done called Black Horse and the Cherry Tree. And that's again the same, not the kind of banging the strings thing that Ed Sheeran does, but lots and lots of rhythmic ghost notes, things like that. So Black Horse and the Cherry Tree sounds like this. So you can hear the way that works is there's lots of... So again, the MIDI's not coping very well with that. You're getting too many notes, as you'll see. There's the score for the MIDI and the Piezo, but I think the Piezo wins that one, definitely. I got a message from a guy, and I do apologise because I lost the message and I can't find the guy's name. So whoever you are, hello. And he asked me a direct question about the difference between Piezo pickups and playing acoustic but on the triple play, and what the response differences would be and all that kind of thing. And it was quite an interesting question. He asked for a Who song, and I can't remember which, but I do this one live quite a bit. Pinball Wizard. What did we think of that one? Did that one work? That kind of works with MIDI and it works with the Piezo. So what you won't see, or you might not be able to see underneath there, but I've got two outputs. This is my electric guitar output. This is the magnetic pickups. This is the Piezo pickup, which is they're the saddles that sit right under the bridge. And then I've got my MIDI, which is going Bluetooth straight into the computer, straight to the output. I've also got this. When the guitar was made, I was using the Roland stuff at the time. I was using the GR33, and I don't use that anymore because I've destroyed too many. They just weren't roadworthy, and yeah, I'm not going to go into why I don't use Roland anymore. But I use this little trick. So that's how you'd play electric and acoustic at the same time. With the acoustic, and and then the electric as well. You see the electric just keeps going as I'm playing the acoustic. Clever, eh? Not just a pretty face, you know. So what's the Scottish connection with The Who? Well, it's in Pete Townsend. I was told that a lot of Scottish whisky uses peat in its ingredients. And I've asked them before, you know, which part of peat do they use? And they said they just can't explain. That was terrible, wasn't it? Aye. The actual acoustic music I listen to most is like flamenco and classical music, funnily enough. And flamenco is really hard to do on MIDI guitar, understandably. But there's a trio that came out, was it 80s, late 70s, 80s, was Paco de Lucia, John McLaughlin and Aldo Meola, who created some amazing music. You know, and of course, the big Scottish connection there. McLaughlin, Scottish name. Al, Scottish name. Paco, Spanish name. The tune Passion, Grace and Fire is one of my favourite acoustic tunes to play. And yeah, let's see how the MIDI copes with this and how the Piezo... let's see how the MIDI copes with this and the Piezo. Piezo. It's Piezo. Let's see how the pickups cope with this. So I know what you're thinking. Can you do things like dadgad and open tunings and all that kind of stuff? Well, yes, you can. Now, what you'll hear here is on the Piezo, it's just tuned normally. But if I go to the MIDI, oh, listen to that. Did you notice I didn't even move? I just clicked my fingers. Now, what I've done here is I've taken my bottom string E down to D and the top string E down to D as well. I had to do this for a classical tune that I played live once called Sunburst by Andrew York. And it's a really cool tune. I played it at a wedding for a mate of mine. Hello, Russ. And also the melody. Relies heavily on the open Ds, the bottom D and the top D. But I can tell you now, this one loses on MIDI because it's a nightmare to play. But what I do is I practice it if I need to. If I don't have my acoustic guitar handy and I need to practice that song, then I can practice it like that. So for those of you who know the song, that's what it sounds like in normal tuning. So I know what you're thinking out there in YouTube land. You're thinking, if you can do open tunings, what happens if you open tune everything to the same note? So if I just play the MIDI, I've tuned everything to E. So we've got 2 bottom E's, 2 middle E's, and 2 top E's. Like that. And kind of sounds a little bit like a mandolin orchestra, God forbid. If we add in normal guitar as well, you get some quite cool things. So now we've got a normally tuned guitar. I'm back up to E, A, D, G, B, E. But when we start playing chords, you start getting some really interesting sounds coming together. Even when you play simple major chords. There's D, there's E. There you go, there's bit of dissonance creeping in. So you get this kind of like mad counterpoint going on. Yep, if I had a house, I'd never leave it. So what are the advantages of piezo versus MIDI? MIDI is much easier to say, and most people can agree that MIDI is pronounced MIDI. Piezo is pronounced all kinds of silly ways. Piezo, Piezo, all that kind of thing. Piezo. I've probably said it about a million different ways today, but I don't care. You know what I mean. Everybody knows what you mean. Take it from a Scotsman, I can speak English properly. Playing wise, obviously there's a feel kind of thing. Piezo feels more like playing a guitar, because you are playing a guitar. It responds more like a guitar. So if that's what you're after, then that's the way to go forward. With MIDI, you get the sound of piezo, and also when you record with it, if you don't like a 12-string sound, you know, I can change this to another guitar sound. And if I don't like that, I can change it to another sound. With flute, you know, or an organ and guitar. I used to have the Godin, nylon string Godin MIDI guitar. I wish there was a Fishman MIDI guitar, because that would be excellent. Do you hear that, Fishman? Nylon string MIDI guitar. That would suit me down to the ground, with a classical neck on it, not an electric guitar neck. Because that's the other thing, the other problem that I have, is that playing classical or flamenco or anything like that on this size of neck, I find really, really difficult, because I'm used to having a much wider neck. So if I want to play Vivaldi with just piezo, with MIDI, I can play it with the kind of a classical sound. And then I could play it with harpsichord. And then, you know, with harpsichord and strings. And then with the full orchestra. You've got a lot more scope with the MIDI pickup, obviously, but it is really unfair to compare the two. It's a bit like, you know, comparing a drum kit with a piano. They're both percussion instruments, but they just have completely different functions. So it's not a one or the other situation. If you can afford it, get both, because they're brilliant. Because you can have the acoustic, and then you can have strings underneath it, a whole orchestra. And you're doing it all yourself, plus your electric side. When I play live, I do have the piezo going out to a different amp, and then the MIDI going to a different amp, and then my normal electric and magnetic pickups going to different amps. It means I've got a lot of gear, but I create a lot of sound for just one person and one guitar. Did I tell you this guitar was French? Oui. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to do the doodah with the thing in the what's it. And from me and Northern Lights by the Orkney Brewery, thank you very much for watching. One other little handy trick that you can use is that if you're playing anything that's kind of folky on the MIDI guitar, now this would work with piezo as well. And in fact, you could have piezo and MIDI guitar. But if you put on like a 12-string, something like that, or 12-string acoustic sound, an octave above, you'll get a kind of mandolin sound. Sounds a lot more folky. You know, that kind of that kind of Goo Goo Dolls-ish kind of thing. Who does the same thing? It's not REM, it's Captain Pugwash, that's it.